We are hoping for rain. That's the big one. You know, even just having this cloud cover, that's a bonus.
Tonight, the McHugh Creek fire is nearly triple the size it was last night. Black Hawk helicopters spent the day dumping water as the flames inched closer to the Seward Highway. Good evening, I'm Emily Carlson. Jovi Hill is off tonight. Firefighters now say they think people likely started this fire. Right now, all efforts to put it out are coming from the air. This afternoon, 5 hotshot crews from California arrived to help fight it from the ground, but they won't start until tomorrow. Meanwhile, homes on both sides of the fire are in danger about a mile away. Tonight, crews are concerned that high winds could push the flames right into those neighborhoods. People are packing up and preparing to leave. Now take a look at how the fire has changed in the last 24 hours. This is what it looked like last night when it was 300 acres. Tonight, it's grown in all directions. It is now 842 acres. Now that sounds alarming, but firefighters say crews in Rainbow Valley have gone through and prepared every home should it turn in their direction. KTVA 11's Eric Rubel is live at Beluga Point for us tonight with the latest. Eric.
As you mentioned, the fire is growing and it is just about 1 mile away from the nearest neighborhood, and that is not a comforting distance for anyone who lives in Rainbow Valley or on the hillside. We were there with some of those homeowners earlier today when they got an update from authorities on their progress. Hundreds of people are packed inside South High School's auditorium, hoping to hear good news about the McHugh Creek fire. One of them is Larissa Hale, who lives on Potter Valley Road.
I've never heard of anything happening like this, and it's so close to Anchorage. You know, it's close to everyone who lives in Anchorage.
She's here looking for answers, trying to see if her family will need to evacuate.
Every member of our family has a bag of something they cherish and a week's worth of clothing.
A new map shows the fire is still about 1 mile away from the nearest homes.
It just expanded. So it didn't make any dramatic runs in any direction. It was just more of an expansion of the existing perimeter.
With a fresh batch of crews from the lower 48, there are now more than 200 firefighters here. They're all hoping for rain.
Possibly Friday is our day to get that rain, and so that is what we really need to reduce the heat of the fire.
In the meantime, they're telling people to get ready in case an evacuation is necessary.
If you have a firefighter or a police officer at your door telling you it's an emergency, it's an emergency. So just go.
For now, Hale and her family are ready to go.
We will have teams of...
Now, some rain is expected here tomorrow. However, the majority of it will fall on Friday. Also, the wind is expected to change directions. That means that we can expect to see some smoke in the Anchorage Bowl tomorrow and Friday. Emily.
Well, we will look out for that smoke, Eric. Meanwhile, is there any word on containment of the fire?
Yeah, one Bureau of Land Management official told me that right now they're not prepared to give a public containment figure right now. However, we should get that number sometime soon. Emily.
Eric Rubel live for us tonight at Beluga Point. Thanks so much, Eric. Now, tomorrow, firefighters hope to tackle the fire from the ground. This afternoon, 100 firefighters arrived from California to help. Most of the members in the hotshot crews have never worked in Alaska before. They spent the day learning the unique challenges of fires in our state. A typical assignment for them is about 14 days, but local foresters say this one could be much shorter.
Proud to be here. You know, we're part of a national agency, and wherever, you know, they need help countrywide, we're here for it.
These crews are trained specifically to battle flames in tough terrain. Alaska foresters say there are crews of this caliber in Alaska, but they're already working other fires.
One of the best opportunities to use the crew is in steep terrain like they're working in, because some of our Type 2 crews are not in as good a physical condition. So these crews have the ability to get up to some very difficult steep terrain.
The lower 48 crews are staying at Golden View Middle School because there are concerns about bears near the fire. And it's not just firefighters tackling the McHugh Creek flames. KTVA 11 meteorologist Melissa Fry tells us how other meteorologists are helping out.
Behind these walls, meteorologists are working 24/7 to keep people safe.
We're concerned both for safety of the residents, but also for safety of the firefighters. Safety of people is our #1 concern.
Although forecasting the weather around a wildfire is not an everyday event, They're ready when the call comes in.
We expect some active fire behavior today since we have a very favorable weather report as far as fire behavior goes.
That weather report provided by the National Weather Service, one that requires additional resources.
At first, when the McHugh Creek fire started, we were just providing spot forecasts just for the fire, but as the fire developed, we decided that we needed to have more support. So we brought Kimberly in.
Kimberly is devoting her entire time to this wildfire, using models, satellites, and weather instruments on the ground to predict the weather for the McHugh Valley and surrounding communities. But she is not a one-man band.
They decided they really needed a meteorologist at the site, and so they called us requesting a meteorologist, and Christian was available to send.
Not just a meteorologist, but one that is specifically trained to forecast the weather on location in these elements. He's now part of the command center helping make decisions.
So when they're thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow or what's going to happen Friday or next week, they need to know what the weather's going to do.
And the current forecast is one these firefighters are counting on.
We're also expecting a pretty good rain event tomorrow, so that's what the Weather Service has promised us. We're going to hold them to that.
And our own meteorologist Carlos Flores also watching that rain event headed our way. So when is the earliest that we can expect to see some sprinkles fall?
Well, we could start to see them after midnight tonight in just a few hours, but it's not going to be a really heavy dose of rain. Tomorrow, as the day progresses, we have a better and better chance of that. Let's take a look at the current conditions. Now, in South Central, the winds have pretty much calmed down, although in the last hour, they've upticked just a mile or two in speed. Those are sustained winds. You can see here over on the hillside, it's still just 4 miles an hour and calm in many locations. Over at the McHugh Creek area, it was 7 miles an hour on the gust just a few hours ago, so it's kicked up into the low teens right now, and we are expecting that that is going to start to get a little bit windier, maybe 15 to 30 mile an hour wind expected on Turnagain by the late morning as that front gets closer and closer. And you can see where the fire is in location to Anchorage. It's across the Turnagain Arm from Hope, just a little bit further out to the west. And as we pull on back, you can see that slug of moisture that's heading this way. Now that front is starting to fall apart. Notice that the last few frames right there, it starts to fall apart. That's what it was expected to do as it came closer to us, but there is still some rain. That's only the first batch of rain. It looks like the heaviest rain is going to be Thursday night and on Friday. I'll talk about how much rain we're looking at coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Carlos. We continue to follow the fire and all the containment efforts. We'll have the latest on KTVA.com and tomorrow morning on Daybreak starting at 6 a.m.